We have with us Dr. Kholood Alabdullatif, a speaker at the GDA conference. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you, Abdulaziz.
You had two sessions at the GDA conference. Do you mind shedding light on what those conferences were or the sessions were?
Yeah, so actually, in the third day, I had the privilege to have two sessions back to back. So I feel a bit tired, but it was very fruitful sessions. The first session was a technical session where I talked about my research in using digital storytelling in leadership development trainings, and try to apply this concept on the oil and gas industry. So, and the second session revolved around communication. It was an expert workshop sponsored by Peoples and Leaders Committee in GDA. And I had a great participation where we had multiple activities revolved around communication strategies and how to apply them in leadership positions.
We're going to talk separately about both those sessions, but about the study, what were the results from the studies that you did in digital storytelling?
So in my study, I designed a conceptual framework of leadership development or effective leadership development programs, where this framework captures three main components that storytelling can deliver and can address. The three components is the cultural relevancy, generational relevancy, and also the cost efficiency. That if you have these three components and use digital storytelling in your training, you'll probably get an effective return on investment in that training.
And did you compare them to the past generation just to understand how this generation reacts differently than the past generation?
Yeah, so I mean, I had a preliminary, investigation on the preference of young generation, or again, specifically millennials. Preference on what kind of training they prefer. Most of the people they preferred. Most of the people they preferred online platforms versus face-to-face. Also, lots of people address the concern of some of off-the-shelf trainings that they attend, especially in leadership development, where they don't relate to the culture that they are in. So some instructors, they come, they give some metaphors and probably like sports that's it's not familiar to our culture, and then the kids or the young generation, they do not get the point of these examples. So that's just one concern that came up. And the third one, they say, even if I want to attend a course in leadership, it is also expensive, and the accessibility could be a hinder to their development as leaders.
So that hindrance, of course, would affect the industry as well. If we can't train our young generation, that's going to be the next leadership is going to be.
So yeah, and also the kingdom's ambition in 2030, and one of its main pillar is to focus on human capabilities to drive excellence and to drive its business ambitions. And create a knowledge-based economy. Yes.
And your second session was you did some sort of activities. You mind walking us through those activities?
Yeah. So again, I had an expert workshop, and we had probably about 30 people in the room, maybe more. But the activity revolved around. A business or a project management challenge where each team has to create a design, and so there is a great need to develop really effective leadership programs that the young generation can relate to. And one of actually the Vision 2030 of Saudi Arabia, and one of its main pillar is to develop human capabilities to drive excellence and also to meet the business ambitions of the kingdom. As you know, that we are diversifying our economy, and we are trying to create a knowledge-based economy, and this would be great, a great addition to develop our people through leadership programs. I thought my my framework could be accessible, could be used anywhere. I study it on social media platforms, particularly on Snapchat and Twitter. And the overall sentiment was positive. People reacted to digital stories in such a positive way, and some people express how some stories, change their leadership identity or improve it positively.
There was a point that you made that there was a small percentage, or let's say a large percentage. There was a point that you mentioned that there was maybe a large percentage that wanted courses or trainings online. What is wrong? What do we see wrong? Are people not outgoing anymore, or the youth want? What is the problem that we face here?
Okay, so that's a good question. I think as we are in the era of digital transformation, we are transforming lots of our training and development practices, and one of that is the means of delivery. I think there's always going to be a need for face-to-face trainings, but also I think sometimes when you live in a remote area or somewhere that you're not in the main region, you probably will miss out on these trainings. So I would think that, or the people I interviewed, they expressed that having an online content that I can access anytime, anywhere, would help me to probably improve my skills, maybe also just have an exposure to lots of things, and also in a very affordable way.
So it's more the ease of access rather than they being shy. Is it that?
I think it's more of the ease of access. Yes, ease of access, because again, like the digital storytelling, it's a tool that it's not meant to be like a course, which is like a structured course. It's a practice that it's a day-to-day life where we encourage young people to be lifelong learners, and just promote the idea of developing yourself, as you go.
What is the age group of your sample?
So my study focuses on the millennial generation.
So we know that the millennials have their own choices. So what was there a result in your study that showed the millennials to be very picky about the choices they make, whether it's about career choices or the things they buy or anything?
Yeah, so I mean, my study didn't, the scope of my study at least, did not explore that sense of, but I would say that, overall or in general, workplaces, changes as, a new generation enter this workforce, and, as a result, work culture change. And, you have two options, either to be agile and to adjust to all the changes, or stay where you are. And like we are in a place where you have many choices. So I think young generations are realizing that changing careers or changing industries is a possibility when they don't feel appreciated or engaged in what they do.
And that makes the companies realize that we need to keep these guys happy.
I mean, happy in a sense. I think I would say that being engaged, or maybe the new term employee experience at work is a key. And I think knowing or creating a work experience for your employees is very essential to to keep your people loyal to your organization.
So you also had a session on some activity-based session, right? Briefly about that.
Yeah, so I designed a experiential kind of workshop. It was an expert workshop sponsored by Peoples and Leaders Committee of GDA. The session revolved around effective communications and strategies for leaders. I focused on two new concepts I introduced, and the participants were engaged in, some challenges, and then they had to demonstrate these strategies through this challenge.
What are the concepts?
One concept is called the nonviolent communication, and it's a it's a well-known framework or a model that is used to communicate through empathy, understanding, and compassion. Yeah, and the second concept was the five chairs. That originally, it was originally. Was originally generated from the nonviolence communication.
Something like musical chairs?
Well, you're probably gonna have to come in one of my sessions.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Kholood, for giving us the time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for GDA as well for this opportunity.